Let's get started with a quick take on President Trump's comment about building a wall in Colorado, a big, beautiful wall. He later tweeted that he was joking, but not soon enough to stop the issue from making national headlines. Patty Calhoun from Westword, I've seen the effects of the Great Chili War between Colorado and New Mexico. So a wall at the southern border of New Mexico is realistic, but probably not very effective. Your thoughts when you heard this either kiddingly joke or at least a fun faux pas?
I thought, won't tomorrow be fun? When I heard that, he made the comment not originally in a tweet, but in a speech in Pittsburgh. And I know that we've got transplants coming here. I know they're coming meow wolf. No one stopped them from coming up from Santa Fe. So I guess Donald Trump has that on the brain. He wants to save our culture from the infiltration. Donald Trump has spent some time here. He got in a big fight with his wife Ivana in Aspen decades ago that made headlines. He wanted to, at one point, to redevelop Union Station. You would think he had never actually seen Colorado and realized that we are at least 500 miles from our southernmost point from Mexico. But this was great. And the added twist on this is a fellow who was just featured on your Sounds on 29th show, musician Will Hayden, had put up a GoFundMe campaign back in December as a joke to build a wall between New Mexico and Colorado. So clearly, Donald Trump is paying attention to our media.
David Kopel from the Independence Institute and DU Law School. Perhaps this was part of a PTSD reaction to him being stuck in an elevator in Colorado Springs. That was during the campaign. You never know what could have happened.
Well, perhaps he was thinking about the trauma of Colorado in the Civil War when the Texans attempted to invade Colorado via New Mexico, but fortunately were turned back by the 1st Colorado Volunteers, which destroyed their baggage train. Undoubtedly a reference to that. Grown-ups, when they say something stupid, can just kind of let it go. So in the 2008 campaign, Obama referred to the 57 states, and some people mocked him for it, but at least he had the common sense not to put out a press release the next day explaining why he'd been right about that.
That's not always a common trait. Eric Sonderman, political analyst and new columnist with Colorado Politics. Great to have you back, Eric. So I think about the various reactions here, and I get the whole idea of possibly being a joke, but putting that out there later. The part that wasn't a joke, seemingly, was the fact that the comment got a standing ovation. So I don't know what the reaction are from those folks that stood for that out in Pennsylvania, but perhaps there's other stories and connections to this.
Well, maybe geography should be part of the mandatory curriculum in Pennsylvania, we can suggest here. I think we're all jumping to conclusions around this table that he meant the wall to go on our southern border. There was no indication in his comment that it was necessarily there. Perhaps it is to keep that influx from Wyoming out. I mean, we all know Dan Haley, whatever. I mean, there are troublesome folks who have immigrated to this state from Wyoming, and maybe that was what was on the president's mind. We can save the stable piece for another day, but to deal with the genius piece today, I'm not so sure that was a hallmark of it.
Ed Seelever from the Denver Business Journal. Speaking of business, if that was promoted as a wall, maybe on the western border to stop California from folks coming in, I got to believe that John Caldera be putting down a few bricks, but we don't know where this wall was going to go.
Well, we do know this, that we've talked a lot around this table in recent years about President Trump trying to undo President Obama's legacy by peeling back some of the things that were done during his administration. This is the first time I've ever seen him trying to undo President James K. Polk's legacy by going in and undoing the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo that awarded New Mexico to the United States after the Mexican War. These executive orders have really got to stop.
Ed, we usually count on David for bringing something like that, but to reference the administration of President Polk, well done. That was absolutely fantastic.